If you're a fan of horror, you absolutely know this face. I mean, come on, it's the very image of ancient evil, a figure that's haunted our screens and our nightmares for decades. But what if I told you there's so much more to this story than just simple terror?
See, that horrifying face, it wasn't just designed to scare us. Back in ancient Mesopotamia, it was actually crafted for a very specific, and, you won't believe this, a surprisingly protective purpose. So let's get into it and uncover the truth behind one of mythology's biggest paradoxes.
All right, first things first, we have to understand what we're even looking at. Pazuzu's form isn't random at all. Every single piece of him is a weapon, a symbol, and a huge statement of power.
Let's start with that terrifying face. It's this mashup of a snarling lion or dog with these really intense, bulging eyes that never, ever blink. Now, what's so important to get here is who this expression was for. That look of pure rage, it wasn't meant for humans. It was a weapon specifically designed to stare down and scare the daylights out of other malevolent spirits.
Now, moving on down, his body is often shown as emaciated, almost skeletal, and it's covered in reptilian scales. This isn't just to look creepy, it directly connects to his job description. The scales, they represent poison and sickness, and that thin frame, that embodies the famine and the blight that he carries on the wind.
His body also shows his total dominion over different realms. He's got these massive, leathery, bat-like wings, which let him ride the destructive winds he commands. But his legs, those are the legs of a raptor, ending in these incredibly sharp, deadly talons, marking him as a relentless predator swooping in from the sky.
And finally, the weapon he always carries with him, a scorpion's tail. This is a big deal. It represents the invisible threat he is. You know, the hidden poisons of a plague or the sickness that just travels unseen on the very air he commands.
So all these horrifying parts, they come together for a very specific reason. This is not just some random monster. In the old texts, he's actually classified as a monstrum, a Type 5 composite destructive force. His body is a deliberate mashup of the scariest creatures imaginable, literally engineered to command fear and respect from anything that might dare to cross his path.
Okay, so his form is terrifying. We get it. But his abilities were a genuine threat to survival in the ancient world. Let's dig into his powers and see how this all builds.
Pazuzu's family tree is pure chaos. I mean, he's the son of Hambi, the king of all evil wind demons, and he's brother to Humbaba, you know, the monstrous guardian from the Epic of Gilgamesh. So he's not just a demon, he is the actual personification of the scorching southwest wind, the one that brought drought, locusts, and famine. There's this one ancient text that says his wind tastes of dust and fever, which is just a chillingly perfect description of sickness arriving on the breeze.
And believe me, he was the apex predator of the skies. On ancient amulets, they've found inscriptions where he's actually speaking in the first person, boasting about his power over the lesser wind spirits. He doesn't just rule them, he completely dominates them, proclaiming, "I broke their wings." He's the king, and all other demons are just his subjects.
Okay, so what we've got is a terrifying, plague-carrying demon king. Pretty straightforward villain, right? But if that's all he was, we probably wouldn't still be talking about him thousands of years later. This is where the story takes a fascinating and completely unexpected turn. This creature of absolute destruction, he had another, far more shocking, job.
Just look at this paradox right here. On the one hand, Pazuzu is the bringer of sickness, a destructive storm, but on the other, he was called on as a protector for the most vulnerable people imaginable, pregnant women and newborn babies. How is that even possible? Well, he was considered a grim guardian, a necessary evil.
His whole protective role is centered on his rivalry with another demon, Lamashtu. Now, while Pazuzu was this big, destructive force of nature, Lamashtu was seen as pure, focused evil. She was a cruel entity who specifically targeted infants, trying to steal their very breath while they slept.
So, the ancient Mesopotamians came up with this really pragmatic strategy, a kind of magic we can call the shield logic. So the threat is Lamashtu. You can't fight her yourself. What do? You place a deterrent, an amulet of Pazuzu, in your home. When Lamashtu shows up, she's confronted by the image of a predator far more ferocious than she is, and she takes off. It's the ultimate example of fighting fire with a bigger, much more terrifying fire. And the ancient sources give us the perfect analogy to really get this. Think of Pazuzu as a venomous snake you keep in a cage. You would never, ever want to get bitten by it, right? But you keep it around because its mere presence guarantees that the rats, a more immediate and constant threat, will stay far, far away. You aren't celebrating the snake. You are pragmatically using its inherent ferocity for your own protection.
This incredible duality, this whole idea of a necessary evil, is precisely why Pazuzu's image has managed to survive for millennia, evolving from this ancient magical tool into the modern icon of fear we know today.
I mean, just look at the comparison. In ancient times, he was a grim guardian, his face etched onto bronze amulets for very practical protection. Today, he's an icon of pure terror, maybe even an anti-hero, popping up in movies and comics for entertainment, or as a metaphor for some powerful, ambiguous force. So get this, the very same face that a mother in ancient Assyria would hang over her baby's cradle to ward off a child-stealing demon is the exact same face that terrified audiences all over the world in the movie The Exorcist. His job has changed, but the raw power of that image, that hasn't faded one bit.
Ultimately, Pazuzu's legacy kind of teaches us that power itself isn't really good or evil. It's just this big, indifferent force. And his story suggests that, well, sometimes the only thing that can protect you from the dark is a bigger, more intimidating shadow, one that's capable of staring the other one down until it finally backs away.